You are dying and don't even realize it. It's not cancer. It's not an accident. It's something no one ever told you, something you were trained to accept as normal since childhood. While you read this, thousands of men are bleeding inside, losing years of life, destroying their own health, throwing away talents and dreams. All in the name of something they call love, but that is actually a silent trap. There's a guy right now looking in the mirror and not recognizing who he sees. White hair in his early 30s. Deep dark circles. A protruding belly. He was an athlete 5 years ago. Played guitar. Had projects. Today? Works 12 hours a day, comes home exhausted, hands over his paycheck, listens to complaints about not being present enough, and sleeps on the couch because she's upset. Again. He thinks this is commitment. That this is being a real man. That this is the price of a relationship. The truth is brutal. You were taught to destroy yourself. Since you were little, you absorbed the idea that your value as a man is directly tied to how much you can give. How much you provide. How much you endure. How much you sacrifice. Your family repeated it. Society reinforced it. Movies showed it. And you believed it. Now you're paying the highest price possible. Let me show you what really happens. You know that friend who was full of energy, always with plans, always laughing? He met a woman. The first months, everything was beautiful. Then came the subtle demands. I don't like when you go out with your friends. Why do you spend time on that project? You don't give me attention. That friend of yours is a bad influence. He started canceling hangouts. Abandoned the side project he loved. Stopped training. And you know what's worse? He defends it. Says he matured. That now he has priorities. But look in his eyes. They're empty. This isn't just about bad relationships. It's about a systematic pattern that destroys men every day. You give money. You give time. You give energy. You give health. You give dreams. And at the end of the month, when you look at what's left of you, it's only exhaustion and a bank account in the red. But you keep going because you were trained for this. Because stopping means being selfish, immature, weak. I met an entrepreneur who made $500,000 a year. Brilliant man. Built everything from scratch. His wife didn't work, but had growing demands. Bigger house. New car. Trips. Designer clothes. He worked more and more to sustain her lifestyle. He began to have heart problems at 42. The doctor told him to stop, to slow down. He tried talking to her about cutting expenses. The response? If you really loved me, you'd find a way. He had a heart attack 3 months later, working until midnight on a Saturday. The scariest part isn't that this happens. It's that you probably know someone like this. Maybe it's you. And the question no one asks is, where's the reciprocity? Have you ever stopped to count how many times you gave up something important in the last 6 months? Now count how many times she gave up something of hers for you. The difference is brutal, isn't it? There's something we need to understand with absolute clarity. This is not love. Love doesn't drain you. Love doesn't constantly demand. Love doesn't make you choose between your identity and the relationship. Love builds both. When only one is being built while the other collapses, that has another name. And you need the courage to see it. The system is perfect. They taught you from an early age to confuse sacrifice with love, exhaustion with commitment, abdication with maturity. They made you believe that complaining is weakness. That asking for balance is selfishness. That setting boundaries is lack of love. The result? You become the perfect provider, the ideal partner, the one who never says no. And you die a little more each day. Look around. How many men do you know who seem like faded versions of who they were? How many abandoned hobbies, friends, projects, health? How many work like convicts and still hear they don't do enough? This isn't coincidence. It's the consequence of a model no one questions because everyone is too busy just surviving inside it. The cruelest part is that you take part in your own destruction. No one directly forces you. You choose to give another extra hour. You choose to cancel that workout. You choose not to say what you really think to avoid conflict. You choose to stay quiet when you should scream. And each of those choices takes you one step closer to the half-dead version of yourself. That guy in the mirror you barely recognize. And before you think this is about blaming someone, it's not. It's about waking up. It's about realizing you are responsible for your own life. That no relationship is worth your mental, physical, and emotional health. That you weren't born to be a tool for someone else's dreams while burying your own. If you are recognizing yourself in these words, if you feel something tightening in your chest, if you're remembering specific moments where you gave up pieces of yourself, then this message is exactly for you. And if you are enjoying this content, subscribe to the channel because what comes next will show you exactly how this installed itself in your life without you noticing. Now let's go deep. Let's dissect how this pattern enters your life, grows like a weed, and consumes you completely. And more importantly, let's understand why you allow it. The process starts slowly. So slowly that you don't notice. In the first months, everything works. You're in love, she seems perfect, and small adjustments seem normal. Love is about concessions, you think? And technically you're right. The problem is when all the concessions come from the same side. First comes the test with friends. She doesn't directly say she doesn't like them. It's more subtle. A grimace when you mention a name. A comment about how they're a bad influence on you. An innocent question, would you rather spend time with them or with me? And you, wanting to show she's a priority, start turning down invitations. One here, another there. Your friends understand at first. Then they stop inviting you. In 6 months, you're isolated and didn't even notice. Then comes the money. At first she pays her share. But little by little situations appear. Her paycheck was delayed. Her car broke down. Her mother needs help. And you, being the man you were taught to be, cover everything. Temporarily, of course. Except temporary becomes permanent. Now you pay 90% of the bills. She keeps earning her salary, but somehow never has money. You question it once. The answer? Are you counting money with me? I thought you loved me. There's a pattern here that needs to be clear. Every time you set a boundary, an emotional punishment comes. Silent treatment that lasts days. Comments about how you've changed. Comparisons with ex-boyfriends who were more present. Crying. Drama. And you, tired, wanting peace, give in. You learn quickly. Setting boundaries brings conflict. So you stop setting them. And that's exactly where you lose yourself. I saw a guy lose a promotion because of this. He was a project manager, competent, dedicated. The company offered him a better position, more money, more responsibility. But it required occasional travel. When he told his girlfriend, she cried. Said he was choosing career over the relationship. That if he traveled, she couldn't handle the loneliness. He turned down the promotion. 3 years later they're still together. He's still in the same position, earning the same salary that doesn't meet her expectations, listening to complaints about not making enough. The irony is painful. Your body starts reacting before your mind accepts it. Frequent headaches. Insomnia. That feeling of weight in your chest that doesn't go away. You wake up tired even after sleeping 8 hours. Your back constantly hurts. You gain or lose too much weight. You stop exercising because you have no energy. The doctor orders tests. Everything normal. Because the problem isn't physical at its origin. It's emotional. But no one ever taught you to recognize emotional exhaustion as something real and dangerous. Sex life is another brutal indicator. At the beginning there was chemistry, desire, connection. Now, you're always tired. She's always irritated. When it happens, it feels like obligation. You feel you have to perform to keep her satisfied, but never feel truly desired. It's transactional. You give attention, give gifts, give security, and in return get crumbs of affection. But you were taught that a man has to keep conquering, so you think the problem is that you're not doing enough. Here's the truth no one says: relationships like this work like a cult. They isolate you little by little. They make you question your own perception. They establish that your feelings are exaggerations. They create emotional dependence. And they use guilt as a control tool. After everything I gave up for you. Except when you try to list what she gave up, the list is empty. But trying to point this out only creates more conflict, so you swallow it. Your personal projects die of starvation. That book you were going to write? There's always something more urgent. That course you were going to take? She needs you at home. That business you were going to start? Too risky, she says. And little by little you stop having your own dreams. Your dreams become her dreams. Your life becomes fuel for her plans. You become a supporting role in your own existence. The scariest thing is seeing men defend this. A relationship is sacrifice. A real man takes care of his family. You don't understand because you're single. They repeat these mantras while they wither, while they lose their identity, while they become shadows. And they attack anyone who tries to wake them up because accepting the truth means admitting they wasted years, money, health, and life in a prison they built themselves. There's a simple question that exposes everything. Are you happy? Not sometimes happy. Not happy when she's in a good mood. Genuinely happy. Do you wake up excited for the day? Do you feel energized? Do you have projects that excite you? Or are you just surviving, counting days, waiting for the next moment of peace? If you hesitated to answer, you already have the answer. The most painful part is realizing how much time you've lost. How many opportunities you let slip. How many friends drifted away. How much of your essence you traded for crumbs of approval. And the worst, how much of this you did voluntarily, thinking you were being noble, mature, committed, when in reality you were being manipulated by someone who never intended to give back in the same measure. But there's something I haven't told you yet. Something that completely changes the perspective on all this. Something about why you accept this pattern, why it repeats, and why so many men fall into the same trap, even seeing others sink. And when you understand this, you'll realize the problem is much bigger and deeper than you imagine. The answer lies in your childhood. And this will hurt. You were conditioned since childhood to associate your value as a man with your usefulness. Not with who you are, but with what you do for others. Your father probably worked himself to death. Your mother praised you when you helped, ignored you when you just existed. At school, they taught you that boys don't cry, don't complain, don't ask for help. That a man endures. That a man solves. That a man provides. This conditioning is so deep that you don't even question it. It became your identity. When someone needs you, you feel important. When you give, you feel valued. When you sacrifice, you feel noble. The problem is that this created a black hole inside you. A void that only fills when you are being useful to someone. And exploitative people spot this from afar. They aren't necessarily evil. Many don't even consciously realize what they're doing. But they know, intuitively, that you have this need to be needed. So they create situations where you can be the hero. Problems only you can solve. Dramas only you can calm. Needs only you can supply. And every time you play this role, you get that dose of validation your brain was trained to seek. You are addicted to being useful. Now connect the dots. You're not in an exploitative relationship by bad luck. You were drawn to it. Your internal programming sought exactly this kind of dynamic. Because balanced relationships, where the other person also gives, also solves, also provides, make you uncomfortable. You don't know who to be when you're not saving someone. Your entire identity is built on being the pillar, the provider, the one who sacrifices. I knew a man who left an abusive marriage. He was alone for 6 months. Met someone new. In the first dates, she was independent, capable, mature. He felt uneasy. Said he didn't feel chemistry. 3 weeks later he met another woman. This one had financial problems, emotional traumas, emotional dependence. He fell instantly in love. Because she needed him. And he needs to be needed. He went back to the same pattern with a different person. This is what no one tells you about destructive patterns. You repeat them because they are familiar. Even if they hurt. Even if they destroy. Your brain prefers familiar pain to unknown joy. You know how to behave in a sacrifice dynamic. You learned your whole life. But in a dynamic of balance, reciprocity, real partnership, you get lost. You have no script. So you sabotage, unconsciously, until you return to the familiar territory of exhaustion. And here is the most brutal part. Until you break this internal pattern, it doesn't matter how many relationships you end. You'll meet the same person with a different face. Because the problem isn't only with the other person. It's in you. In your need to be the martyr. In your inability to receive. In your deep belief that you only deserve love if you are paying for it with suffering. There's a specific moment where this hits rock bottom. It's when you realize you're living on autopilot. Wake up, work, pay bills, listen to complaints, sleep, repeat. You don't remember the last time you truly laughed. Don't remember the last time you did something just because you wanted to. Your days became obligations in sequence. And in the middle of all this, you look in the mirror and see a tired stranger staring back. This is the breaking point, where either you truly wake up, or you sink completely. Some men have a physical collapse. Heart attack, stroke, nervous breakdown. The body screams what the mind refuses to admit. Others have an emotional collapse. That cry that hadn't come for years finally comes out. The anger explodes. The frustration overflows. And in that chaos, in a split second of clarity, you finally see the naked truth. You are killing yourself. Not metaphorically. Literally. Every day in this pattern is one less day of life. Your high blood pressure isn't genetic. Your insomnia isn't without cause. Your depression didn't come out of nowhere. They are symptoms of a life that is consuming you. And the person at your side, who should be a partner, is the main beneficiary of your destruction. The anger you feel right now? It's healthy. It's necessary. Because for years you redirected all anger inward. You blamed yourself. Pushed yourself harder. Thought the problem was you not doing enough. But the truth is that you did too much. Gave too much. Sacrificed too much. And all you got in return were demands for more. This anger is your body finally defending itself. Finally saying, enough. But anger alone changes nothing. Many men get stuck in it. They become bitter, resentful, cynical. They speak badly of relationships, of women, of commitment. But they remain trapped in the pattern because anger without action is just poison you drink while waiting for the other to die. What really transforms is what comes after anger. The cold, calculated, definitive decision that your life is worth more than anyone's approval. Here's the watershed. You can keep believing that one day it will get better, that she will change, that if you just make one more effort. Or you can accept that patterns built over years don't change with hope. They change with drastic action. And drastic action means being willing to lose the relationship to save yourself. It means understanding that being alone is not failure. It's liberation. Because there is life on the other side of this. There are versions of you that can still exist. The guy who laughed easily. Who had energy. Who dreamed big. Who respected himself. He didn't die. He's buried under layers of sacrifice, waiting for you to have the courage to dig him out. But for that, you need to be willing to disappoint people. To be called selfish. To be abandoned by those who only want you useful. So let's talk about exit. About reconstruction. About how you rescue your life before it's too late. And it needs to be said clearly, there is no magic solution. There's no three-step formula. What there is hard work, painful choices, and absolute commitment to yourself. But the alternative is to keep dying slowly. So the choice is simple, even if it's not easy. First step, accept that you have responsibility in this. Not total guilt, but responsibility. You allowed it. You continued it. You ignored the signs. This isn't to make you feel worse. It's to give you back power. Because if you have responsibility, you have control. You can change. It doesn't depend on anyone else changing for you to get better. Your destiny returns to your hands. Second, establish non-negotiable boundaries. And that means being prepared to lose those who don't respect them. Your boundaries must include time for you, money for you, energy for you. They're not selfishness. They're survival. If you don't create space for your own existence, you become nothing more than a tool in other people's lives. Communicate these boundaries clearly. Once. Without endless justifications. Without asking for permission. The reaction will tell you everything you need to know. People who truly love you will respect them, even if it takes adjustment. People who only want you useful will react with drama, threats, manipulation. They'll call you selfish. Say you've changed. Threaten to leave. And here's the test. Let them. Let them go. Those who love you don't use abandonment as blackmail. I saw a man do this after 10 years of marriage. He set that 3 nights a week he was going to train. That he would no longer work weekends. that he would save 20% of his salary for personal investments. His wife had a meltdown. Said he no longer loved the family. Threatened divorce. He stood firm. You know what happened? She adjusted. Complained for 3 months, but adjusted. And the relationship got better. Because she realized he was no longer a doormat. He had substance. He had backbone. Third, reconnect with who you were before. Your friends you abandoned? Call them. It'll be strange at first. Some won't want contact anymore. Others will welcome you with open arms. That hobby you dropped? Resume it. That project? Take it out of the drawer. You need to rebuild identity outside the relationship. You need to go back to being a complete person, not half dependent on another half. Invest in your health as if your life depended on it. Because it does. Get checkups. Go to therapy. Start exercising again. Sleep properly. Eat well. Your body took beating for years, sustaining this unsustainable lifestyle. It needs active care now. And every kilometer run, every weight lifted, every good night's sleep is an act of rebellion against the pattern that almost killed you. Fourth, learn to receive. This will be uncomfortable. You were trained to give. Receiving makes you feel indebted, weak, uncomfortable. But healthy relationships have flow in both directions. If someone offers help, accept it. If someone wants to pay the bill, let them. If someone gives you a gift, thank them without feeling obliged to immediately reciprocate. You need to reprogram the belief that you only deserve love by paying for it. And about money, protect yours. Always. Have a separate account. Have an emergency fund. Have investments in your name. It's not lack of trust. It's intelligence. Financial dependence keeps you trapped in destructive situations. Financial independence gives you freedom to choose. And freedom of choice is what separates a healthy relationship from a comfortable prison. Now the hardest part, be prepared to be alone. Not temporarily. Permanently, if necessary. Because as long as you fear loneliness, you'll be manipulable. As long as you believe you need someone to be whole, you'll accept crumbs. Loneliness isn't punishment. It's a laboratory where you relearn to be enough for yourself. Where you rebuild self-esteem without depending on external validation. There are men who did this and never went back to a relationship. They're fine like that. Happy, fulfilled, complete. Others found real, balanced, healthy partnerships. But only after proving to themselves that they can live well alone. Because then they don't enter relationships out of need. They enter by choice. And choice is power that need will never have. The lesson here isn't to avoid relationships. It's to avoid losing yourself in them. It's to understand that you weren't born to be the fuel for someone else's dreams. That your life has intrinsic value, not just utilitarian value. That you deserve reciprocity, respect, real partnership. And that accepting less than this isn't love. It's self-destruction with an audience. Your life can change today. Now. At this exact moment. You don't need approval. You don't need permission. You don't need to wait for the ideal moment. You decide enough is enough, and you start. Small daily actions added up build complete transformation. A boundary established. A gym attended. A friend recontacted. A no said firmly. Each act is a brick rebuilding who you were meant to be. And there will be bad days. You'll doubt. You'll feel guilty. You'll want to go back to the familiar pattern because it's less scary than the unknown. In those moments, remember why you started. Remember the guy in the mirror you didn't recognize. Remember the constant exhaustion. Remember the buried dreams. And choose consciously never to return to that place again. You are not a slave. Never were. You are a free man who is trapped in old conditioning. But conditioning can be broken. Patterns can be changed. Lives can be rebuilt. And it all starts with the decision that you are worth the effort. That your life matters. That you deserve to live, not just survive. This message may have saved your life. But only if you act. Knowledge without action is just entertainment. And your life is not entertainment. It's the only one you have. So get up. Dust yourself off. And start rebuilding. Today. Now. If you've made it this far and this message impacted you, subscribe to the channel. Because content like this, that speaks truths no one has the courage to speak, needs to reach more men before it's too late.